tell him to go into that trigger.
2, move up.
You can see the icon there. And we'll get a reward for that. Today I'm going to share with you a new composition of 14 trigger functions that you could use in your Arma 3 scenarios. Here we are on the workshop page, 14 trigger functions. Here is a list of all the functions in this composition and some other information about compositions itself. I'll link this workshop page in the description of the video and you guys can check it out for yourselves. Let's subscribe to the composition. Let's get in game and check it out. Now before you place the composition, go to the icons here on the toolbar and go to the toggle vertical mode and click on that. Make sure that the horizontal line is going across the top, and then make sure toggle surface snapping is on, which means that the two arrows are pointing to the horizontal line. Once you have that, then let's go to the composition itself. You're going to find that under F2 compositions. And then you're going to go to this icon on the far right. It says custom. Click on that. And then here are all the compositions in the editor. And then here are the Steam subscribed content that you subscribe to. The composition that I created is under the other category. At the bottom is the composition 14 trigger functions. So once you have everything set, just click on that and the composition will attach to your mouse cursor just like you see, and just basically find a flat surface and click on the map, and that will place the assets. Before you click on the map itself, to unhighlight everything, move your composition to wherever you want. I just want to line up everything with the grid, and once you have everything set where you want it, then just click on the map itself so that everything is unhighlighted. I have all these triggers for what they do labeled with a marker. The marker itself is just a name, that's all it is. So if you actually go to the map, you could see what each one of these triggers do. Starting with this trigger is activated by whatever faction you want to be present to trip the wire. So basically when Blue 4 is present, because I'm going to be Blue 4 in this mission, when I'm present, then it's going to trip off the flare. You could set it for once or you could set it repeatable. It's up to you. So in this code, you have Alt equals 80. 80 means 80 meters up in the air from the ground. This is, in the quotes here, the flare class name that is going to be shot in the air. So this is a white flare. Lifetime is how long the flare will exist. So that's like 80 seconds. This right here, drop, equals 0.005. The 5 is like 5 seconds. It'll take 5 seconds for it to drop from 80 meters. So you can see it slowly descend. Now if you lower that to 3, the time actually increases because of this code here. So we're just going to leave it at 5 and you'll see what I'm talking about. So that's basically it with that. This is a move or an area denial. For this trigger, it's the same thing. It's Blue 4 present. What this code does is it moves X. X is whoever enters the trigger. They're going to be moved to a marker position named mark. And this occurs for everybody in this list, basically the trigger. So I had Blue 4 present and this set to repeatable. You don't have to have it set for repeatable. But if you're doing something like a team deathmatch, then set it to repeatable and then nobody will enter an area. I have a marker right here behind these sandbags. You can see it says mark. When I enter this trigger, I'll get moved to this marker. Next trigger function is this one. This basically is any player present. You can set it to any faction present that you want. So Blue 4, Old 4, independent, whatever you want to do. Any player works. Set it to repeatable to be consistently healing. Whoever enters the trigger, X if injured or wounded, set their damage to 0, which means you regained your health. And for each in this list, which is this trigger. And then from here you'll get a hint. It'll say you are healed. You don't have to use the hint. If you don't want the hint, just remove this part. The next trigger here is a kill trigger. Now this particular trigger is kind of like an area denial. It will kill anybody that enters the trigger. So with this, if not is the player, basically X, then set damage 1 for each in this list. So for each in this list, as we know, is the trigger. So whoever enters the trigger, then set the damage to 1, which will basically just kill them. So it could be anybody present. And set it to repeatable if you want, and restore loadout and health. So in this trigger, you could again set this to whatever you want. Activation could be blue 4, it could be whatever side you're on, it could be player. If you place a unit with weapons and gear and stuff, and let's say you used most of the ammo and thrown most of your grenades, and you walk into this trigger, it'll restore exactly everything that you had by default. It's not meant for custom loadouts. I recommend using a script for if you want to save your loadout for custom loadouts. This next one is an exfil task. I have a ammo box named cache. We have a task, and this task is to destroy the ammo cache. This object is synchronized, and it's synchronized to the ammo box. Then we have set task status succeeded. There is a trigger to check to see if the cache is still alive, and then you'll get a hint once you destroy it. Now this is just a basic task, nothing special to it, but here is the exfil task itself right here. So if you click on this trigger, what this is doing is it's checking to see if the cache is not alive, and once it is, then it fires off this task, which is to exfiltrate. So here I just have a description: move to exfil, you're automatically assigned, and then of course you get an exit icon, and it's at the module position. This has a trigger right here. This is a set task state for succeeded, and then the trigger here, this task will go off once you enter the trigger. So blue 4 present, and basically once blue 4 is present, then call BIS FNC and mission, and that's it. So you destroy this, you get an exfil task, and you enter this trigger, and the mission will end. To rescue the POW and earn a reward. So when the player enters this trigger, blue 4 present, remember you can change who enters the trigger. On activation, POW, which is the civilian unit, will join the player, and then POW will basically say, thanks for rescuing me, just a little chat. So this is POW, this is our civilian, and once you rescue him, you're going to have a task to enter this trigger. This is your objective, to enter this trigger. This is how you rescue him. So this task is to help the POW. The civilian was captured by the enemy, rescue him, rescue the POW, and this is assigned, and then destination is module position. So you have two set task state here. You have set task state for succeeded, then you have set task state for failed. So this means that if the POW enters the trigger, then this task will succeed. If the POW gets killed somehow, this checks to see if the POW is alive. Then this connecting to the failed task state, then that will fail the task. Now once the POW enters the trigger, then basically POW in this list, that's the condition, and you can have anybody present. The POW will join silent group null, which means the POW you'll leave your group. The reward part of this is right here is the class name for a prowler in between the quotes. And once you save the POW, this vehicle will spawn at Mark 3, and then of course there will be a hint. And of course, like I say, you don't need the hint if you don't want it. So Mark 3 is right here, this marker here. So what we have here is a trigger and two markers. You can see the marker here and a marker here. Now this wall basically acting like a door, as you can see. So in this trigger, this is set to blue 4 present, so your faction doesn't matter, and set it to repeatable because the door will, repeat if you keep entering the trigger. So door 3, which is this wall, once you enter the trigger, then set position, get marker pause, door mark 4. So door mark 4 is right here, and once you enter this trigger, this wall is going to move to this marker. And then once you leave the trigger, as seen here on the deactivation, door 3, set pause, get marker pause, door mark 5. And door mark 5 is right here. So as you can see, when the player enters this trigger, the wall is going to move, and then once he exits the trigger, the wall is going to move back. This is pretty much the same thing, except I did it with a wall like this. This is just really just to demonstrate what you can do with this function. So that's all this is just a wall. And you can kind of see where I put the markers, how far you want to get the wall to move. Now this wall right here, you can see it kind of highlighted. It's the marker that you want is in the center of this wall. And when this wall moves, it's going to move to over here. So the center of this wall is going to be right here on this marker. This is a code for random starting positions. So in the ammo box, we have a small code. The ammo box is named Ammo 1. Ammo 1 set position, get marker, pause, select random. And here are a list of markers in an array. So you have 5 markers, each one S1, S2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So what's going to happen is when the mission starts, this ammo box will get moved to any one of these markers. Now I use color-coded 3D icons just to kind of so you can see the marker, because you're not going to see the marker in game. That's just to give you an idea of the show randomness in your mission. But you don't, like I said, you don't need to use these arrows. But you're going to want to use the markers. You can come up with your own markers if you want to. If you don't want the markers to be showing on your map in your mission, then go to where it says marker style and set the transparency to 0, and that marker won't show up on the map. So you can see it not showing up. Alright, so you just change it back and you click again and the marker will show up. Here is a gate. This is an automatic open fence door. Gate itself is named Gate 2. Then in the trigger, we have blue 4 present, so it doesn't matter who enters the trigger. You can set that to what you want. Then on activation, Gate 2, which is the gate, animates, door 1 rotates 1, which means it opens. On deactivation, that means you're leaving the trigger. Gate 2 animate, door 1 rotates, and goes 0, which means closes. Here is just AI I got set up to with a radio trigger just to tell him to move. So this is nothing special about the trigger. Same with this guy. So he's just, when I tell him through the radio trigger, he's going to walk through this and you can see the gate move. But this particular gate, we have Gate 1, and in the trigger itself, this is blue 4 present, and just like the other fence, Gate 1 animate, door 1 rotate 1 to open, Gate 1 animate, door 1 rotate to close. Now this one here is same thing. I have a trigger to tell this guy to follow his waypoints and walk through the gate. That's all that is. This one is Gate 3, and we have a trigger here set for blue 4 present. Again, you can change the faction to what you want. On activation, Gate 3 animates and door 1 move 1 basically opens the gate. On deactivation, that means leaving the trigger. Gate 3 animate, door 1 move 0. So the gate will close behind you. The last trigger function is this vehicle. Now this vehicle is just an example. What I did with this vehicle, I set the health and armor of the vehicle to half. I set the fuel to real low, and I set the ammunition to low. And that's all I did with it. As you can see, it has a gun. Now with this trigger, this particular trigger is repair, rearm, and refuel. And in this trigger, basically all the vehicle has to do is drive through it. Activation is blue 4 present. Again, you can change that to whatever faction you want. And here's the code. Now this code is basically checking to see what kind of vehicle it is, and then what it's going to do is it's going to set the fuel to 1, which means it's going to refuel it to 100%. Set the vehicle armor to 1, which means it's going to fix the armor to 100%, and set the vehicle's ammo to 1, which is basically going to give it full ammo that it's supposed to have. Then it's going to be for in this list, and that's for any vehicle in this list. I added a hint here, which basically says your vehicle has been fully rearmed, repaired, and refueled. Again, you don't need to use this hint, and that's it. Here's my player character. To test the fully self-heal part out, my character is got low armor, has low health. Alright, so you see my character is wounded, and he's basically going to walk into the self-heal trigger. And now I am fully healed. Alright. Alright, so let's go check out the flare. Let's walk into the trigger. And let's see where this guy's at. There it is. So that's 80 meters up in the air, and you can see with 5 it slowly descends. That's the sun over there to the left. Yeah, it's a bright flare. There you go. This next trigger is the area denial or move trigger, whatever one you want to use it for. So if I walk into this trigger, I'm going to be moved to the marker right here. So if I do that again, I get moved. The next trigger is the kill trigger, and this guy is going to demonstrate for us. You can do it, buddy. You can sacrifice yourself. Alright, so I have a trigger for these guys, and so this guy is going to walk into the kill trigger. And of course, he gets killed. Now this particular trigger that I'm coming up to is restore loadout and health. Well, I don't have a default loadout, so I can't really demonstrate it, but that's the default character for what I placed, and I just kind of changed his uniform, and that's what I have. So if I actually removed what I have, the helmet and whatever else, and walk to that trigger again, I'm going to get back what I have. This is a task, Exfiltrate Task, and because we need to destroy the ammo box. So for this, we have a task. We go to task. It says destroy the ammo cache. Basically, to destroy it, just shoot it. Exfiltrate. Now we get the task to exfil. To exfil, all you do is walk into that trigger, and you can see the exfil task and where it's at. And that will end your mission complete. Our task here is to rescue the POW. So this guy is the POW. Rescue the POW and earn a reward. And our task is to rescue the POW. Civilian was captured by the enemy. Rescue him. So if we enter the trigger,
join group.
Ready.
To rescue him, what we need to do now is tell him to go into that trigger.
2, move up.
You can see the icon there. And we'll get a reward for that. And he'll leave your group. Alright, now if you noticed, the ammo box here has moved, because originally it was on this square here. So it moved every time you restart the mission. So if we restart this ammo box is going to be at another marker. And you can see where it's at now. And you'll see that it moved again. And if we restart it, and the ammo moved there again. And as you know, there's a trigger here. So if I walk into the trigger, the wall is going to move. And as you can see here, and that's how that works. This one is move a wall. It's basically that, except it's that wall. So we're just going to tell him to move. Radio. Let's see, walk through wall. It's this guy. He's going to walk through the wall. The wall's going to move over. He's going to exit the trigger, and the wall returns. The fence, automatic fence opening. So you walk through the fence, and it'll close behind you. The bar gate. This one is similar to that. So walk through the bar gate. This guy is going to walk through the bar gate. tell this guy to walk through the sliding wall. So he's going to walk. Door's going to open. And once he leaves the trigger, the gate will close behind him. The last one is this vehicle. So you could kind of see that the vehicle is damaged. It's got some low tires, maybe flat tires. If we get in the vehicle, you can see that it's got low fuel. Everything is in orange, so it's kind of damaged. And then if you get into the gunner seat, the gun only has a few rounds left. So if we get into the driver's seat and drive through the trigger, you're going to see everything has been repaired, refueled. And if we get into the gunner seat again, you're going to see all the ammo has been updated or replaced. And there is the commander seat. This also has ammo and everything too. I want to thank you guys for watching. For more codes and scripts, take a look at this playlist.